Hello everybody and welcome to this general walkthrough for the Spring Major. All 9 holes of the Chateau Lavande course. You may well recognise this, and you may well recognise these ghosties here. They have departed the Phantom Mansion and the sun is out, so we're now calling it Chateau Lavande. Full 9 holes, as I said. We are going to look at all of the overviews with my suggested routes and elevations, covering all divisions. Bear in mind, this is still a fairly new course, so it may well be that we find some new routes during the week. Going to be very, very interesting, and I hope you are all looking forward to playing it as much as me. Suggestions for elevations, of course, will need to be tweaked as we know what wind directions and strengths we're going to be dealing with as the week goes on. If you are new here, a very warm welcome. If you could all please remember to hit thumb up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed and get that bell button enabled as well, so you get notified when we upload new content here on the BK Golf Clash channel. If you are playing Pro or Expert Division, check out my playthrough of all 9 holes. Got some great options there, plenty of drops. That is up on the channel homepage as well. So all that's left to do now is for you guys to grab yourself a glass of the old Vin Rouge, and we can now get started with hole number 1. Starting with a par 4 for hole number 1, you've got 2 options here. The white line is going to be the general route unless we have tailwinds. Let's talk about the white line first. 15% extra is what I'm going on the drive, although you can obviously use 10% as well. Both I would think would work nicely. And you want to bounce over with some topspin there and get yourself in between those 2 fairway bunkers. Bear in mind, towards that tip of the arrow, the fairway does slope massively downhill to the right, so go easy on the right spin. So 15% extra. You will see there, just in the rough centre of the diagram, there are some lavender bushes. They are in play, so you've got a choice here. You can bounce to the left of them, or you can thread the needle and go in between. But do remember, those bushes are in play, so they may well scupper your chances of a good second shot. Assuming all goes well, you will either have a wedge if you're lucky, or you will have a minimum distance short iron, plus 10%. Very, very good chance for an eagle. Black line, going aggressively, we can go full blast with full topspin, try and bounce towards the tip of that black arrow and actually roll down the slope, avoiding the boulder. It is a bit of a 50-50 shot though, a bit of a lottery roll. Obviously if you roll out, you're guaranteed your eagle, but if not, you've got a fairly makeable rough iron shot. If you don't want to go super aggressive, you can just play to the top of the fairway. Second shot from there, however, does play downhill at plus 30%. So very good chance for an eagle start on the first hole. Second hole, and I think it's the easiest of the par 3s that we do have in this course. And look at the options that we've got here. There's loads to choose from. General elevation 20%, although I do remember we were occasionally playing 15 here as well. So again, we're going to have to work out what suits certain shots best here. White line is the most common route, bouncing on the fairway from the left with a bit of right spin in towards the pin. The blue line, using the pad on the right, is also an option, preferred with a long iron with ball guide there. I remember a couple of grizzly shots there the last time we had this tournament, so that is also worth looking into in certain wind directions. The black line is the rough bump, and I think this is a very interesting shot, and I've dropped it a couple of times in practice mode in Pro already. Of course you can see that on the Pro and Expert playthrough video. The rough bump, I was playing mid plus 10 actually, but again I'm only going to be taking this on in certain wind directions. It's worth mentioning, obviously you may well adjust into the bunker here, so you're going to have a loss of elevation, but also if you have wind coming from right to left and you're playing the white line, you're going to adjust uphill onto the slope there. So you've got a couple of things to watch out for, but I do think this is the easiest out of all the par 3s. Hole 3 is the first of the par 5s, and this one I do think is going to present some difficulties, especially as you know with the wind changes we are going to have some headwind to deal with across all of the divisions. When we do that, it is going to make this hole challenging. Lots of routes to choose from here. If I had to pick one side to favour, it would be the right side, definitely for Pro and Expert and above. 10% on the drive. Obviously if we get a load of tailwind, then you may have to go for 20, but if we can bounce over there with top spin and left spin and a bit of left curl, that would be very good. the white arrow that is, then setting up a rough bump, which I would hopefully be able to use yardage notes and play. I've put 0% here, although I do remember sometimes people playing a -5 elevation here, so again that's going to depend on the wind angle. One thing is interesting with that rough bump though, if you do have tailwind, you're going to be adjusting down into the bunker, so we're going to need to compensate for that. Any horrendous headwind we are going to have to lay up even from middle tee, I believe. 10% again, this will be the black line, and then the rough bump will be out of the equation even with Cataclysm. Just going to have to bounce on that pad close to max distance plus 10% and hopefully hold for an eagle wedge, or if we're lucky, a putt. You know, so headwind just going to be trying to save eagle, but we do have albatross attempt in tailwind. The blue line on the left I've put in there as an illustration, primarily for rookie players that may not feel comfortable going with rough bump if they're not that experienced. Obviously there is a better line to the green going from the left side if we can reach far enough on the drive. So it is going to present us with some challenges, this hole, and it's going to play massively different depending on the direction of the wind. Hole number 4 looks simple enough on the page, but actually isn't that simple when you get to know the hole. 20% I've put as the general elevation here, but the key is not to come in too hot, because if you roll past the pin with too much pace, you will end up in the rough at best on the back there, maybe even in the sand if you come in way too hot. So we're going to have to bounce between the bunkers. I have found a couple of good bounce points here, but one of those where we are going to have to choose clubs carefully. I would suggest Pro and Expert, a couple of shots with the Guardian if we have headwind. Obviously Master is going to be with driver here due to the distance further back with the tee box, and going to be very interesting for rookies as well, but pace is the key, so I would recommend going in with a couple of practice tokens if you can, and just get a feel for the pace of the green and how much spin you will need according to what the wind is doing on hole number 4. Now we have a par 4 for the 5th hole, and two really interesting routes here, and both absolutely manageable for an eagle, really. If we have tailwind, I'm going to go on the right hand side. 0% is what I've played there, but I also do 10 as well, also depends how you're going to set up your shot. The key is though, don't go with too much topspin. You can roll, obviously having bounced on where the blue cross is, roll on the next piece of fairway. There is a little glitchy part there that can take you straight into the rough or the sand. Obviously you're still going to get to the green, you're really close, but it does dramatically reduce the chance of eagle. Providing your drive doesn't go too far, you've got a really good short iron shot. I play it minus 10% elevation. However, do bear in mind there is a moment on the green, a few areas where you're going to see the ball guide just flicker and you may come in too hot. So hopefully we can find some good landing positions on the green or near to it for our short iron. If we get crosswind or any headwind, then for me it's the left hand side and we're going to need topspin. So big topper is very good, as is the Thor's hammer, and obviously APOC with the topspin for higher division players. I play the left hand side always at 10%, bouncing before the rocks there and going straight over with the topspin, aiming up to where the tip of that first arrow is. From there you're going to have a plus 20% short iron, hopefully, depending on the wind angle, which still I have also dropped here. Very, very good chance for eagle, but obviously you do have more elevation to contend with if you're going in from the left hand side. But really interesting hole, and I think it's going to be a good chance for a drop. Before we carry on with the next hole in the walkthrough, don't forget to check the channel on Wednesday. The next episode of our Showdown series is with Golf Clash Tommy. Do you think I can take him down in a series of friendlies with some questions about the game thrown in as well? Stay tuned here on the channel. That episode, as I say, is coming on Wednesday. We've had lots of great guests, so do check out the playlist on the channel homepage. Right, back we go to the rest of the holes. Another lengthy par 5 now for the 6th hole, and really only one route to the green as far as I'm concerned. I've never played on the left side. I don't know if many people have, but for me I've made the right side work for pretty much all wind directions. However, the key with this hole, and in fact a lot of the holes on this course, is I think the fairway placement is very, very clever, and you will need some overpower, particularly in headwind. So we need to get as far down on that middle section of fairway as possible. I've gone plus 10% for the drive. Use plenty of topspin, use some right spin, and you will need some right curl as well. This is longer than it looks. From there you are going to have a wood club to the green. Sniper is preferred if you have it and you can get yourself far down enough. Obviously if we do have a horrendous amount of headwind, then we may need to think about Guardian or Cataclysm or the big dog. 30% downhill, general suggestion for the second shot. And you can either do a standard bounce to the green, or if you're feeling brave and have got the clubs for it and the side spin balls, then there is a rough bump here as well, which is very, very interesting. But as with all rough bumps, you've got to be accurate on your adjustment. It will give you the best chance of an albatross, because like I say, it is a downhill shot. So if you are playing the standard bounce, you've got to deal with a lot of secondary bounce wind effects. So very, very interesting par 5 here on hole number 6. Another challenging one here, 7th hole, the final par 3. Now there was a lot of rough bumps here, and to be honest I totally understand why. If you look where I've got the black cross, there is a fairway pad smack bang in the middle of the hole there, but the bounce is super inconsistent. I was trying this yesterday in practice mode, but just moving around the target you can see the ball guide does move around quite greatly. You get very, very different bounces according to where you land. So that is really not going to be very consistent. So I do feel, even for rookies, the rough bump is the way to go here. Plus 25% general elevational low. It will change as the week goes on and we get used to different wind angles. There are two areas you can go with. The white line is obviously directly at it, and that's going right in front of the bunker in a straight line to the pin. However, slightly further back you can play with 3 bars of left spin, and you've got a bit more rough to aim at here, so it is slightly more forgiving, but still you need to be accurate. Good chance for a hole in one. Is it an easy hole? No. It's going to be tricky in headwind, but I do think with the changing wind conditions, this is one you're going to have some adjustments up your sleeve to do well in the Spring Major. Next up we have a really fun par 4. If we get tailwind here, providing it's a decent amount of course, it is going to be full blast going for green. And you've got two options, the black line. We did a power slice in expert last time, so that's over on the left. But also there is a blast with a Zerk on the right, that's shown with the light blue line. Obviously it is a little bit of a lottery shot going on the right side. Sometimes you're going to get a great roll and be on the green or the fringe. Other times you're not going to be so lucky. So, you know, you pays your money, you takes your choice on that shot. The other route, the white line, more conservative. We did have headwind last time, so we played a rock bounce over in pro. Then that left a rough bump. We're playing the drive plus 20, which I've put as the general rule here. The second shot does go massively downhill, and this was one I didn't feel I ever got dialed in. Plus 30% the rough bump. However, in certain winds you're going to be adjusting either uphill or downhill. So this is really going to be a very interesting hole. Of course you can drive to the left as well without doing a slice. That also is an option. I would go 10% in that case, but you're going to need obviously some topspin and right spin to either set up a minimum distance long iron, or if you're lucky, a max short iron. But if we can drive the green in one, that's going to be the preferred option to try and get an eagle here. And finally, the 9th hole, a par 5, as is customary with tournaments, and again so many options here and different pieces of fairway to play on. I think this is really going to be a very interesting hole to finish. Straightforward, the white line bouncing on the central pad. Going to need to put some topspin on and try and set up a very nice line to the pin. 10% on the drive there. Probably going to need a bit of overpower depending on what club and ball you're using as well. Second shot from there, I would play plus 20. I don't think the rough bump is on there depending on the angle, but you have got a bounce standard shot there for a potential albatross, although it does play, like I say, downhill. The left hand side, the black arrow, is a nice route with crosswind or headwind. I've been trying some nice big topper shots in pro, but obviously with expert higher level drivers you're going to use your topspin there and try and set up a rough bump second shot. You still have a fair bit of distance to go here, so I would be packing a distance wood club. The horizon might be a good choice for the topspin and the ball guide, but again, it's one we're going to have to dial in our elevations on here, depending on what wind angles we get. Finally, it's got to be mentioned, even though it's not shown, there was a kind of hero power hook shot in Expert last time, going way out to the right, curling in to the left. But that was suggested, I think, with special balls and APOC 6+. So I think you are going to see some aggressive routes here. There is another one on the left, again, which I've not shown, and that is bouncing where the black arrow is heading to on that piece of fairway with a berserker ball and max OP. Then you'd be setting up a grizzly in that case. So again, so many options here, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this hole plays out and what routes we do find as the tournament progresses. Thank you everybody for watching this general walkthrough for the Chateau Lavande in the Spring Major. Hope you found it useful, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Good luck in the tournament. See you soon. Bye for now.